As long as you're able to look within, self-awareness will become something that you are less and less able to live without. It's Deidre. Hello, it is Deidre, and today we are going to explore TikTok again. Y'all really do be posting some crazy stuff on TikTok. Today we are going to explore some breakup stories that went viral on TikTok and see if there's anything we can learn. But first, if you are new to my channel, hello, my name is Deidre. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are into exploring relationships and psychology and what makes people tick and how people get along and dating, etc., that's what we do on this channel. We explore people's experiences, analyze, give okay advice, and perhaps ourselves evolve into the people that we want to be in the world and having the experiences that we want to have as far as relationships are concerned. We do Reddit, we do TikTok, we do emails, and we just have a good old time. So if you are interested, you are more than welcome to come along for the adventures, starting with this one.
If you think you're having a bad day, this is the current state of the apartment that I have had for the last 3 years of my life. I foolishly and stupidly decided to have my now ex-boyfriend sign a lease with me.
Girl. Yeah, my first question, first of all, if this is a boyfriend, it's probably not a good idea to sign a lease together. But my first question, in most cases, and my first question actually is, how long were you together? How long did you explore this person before you, 1, called him a boyfriend, and 2, decided to live together? Just 2 things to consider. I'm going to listen to the rest of her story before I make any assumptions here.
Until August of 2025, and he broke up with me out of nowhere tonight. And now I'm in the middle of going to school, and I had a partner that I was depending on paying 50% of the rent with. So now I have to give up my apartment to him.
What? Oh.
And uproot my entire life. So I'm now going to be 31 years old.
Okay, she didn't say this, but this is something that I think we can throw in here just for the sake of educational purposes. There are people out there, you may not be aware if you're younger, there are people out there who will fake an entire future with you just to be able to pay a deposit on an apartment. I'm not saying that's what happened to her, but we have to be aware. If we move too quickly in these situations, we could easily end up being used as that 50% of getting so-and-so's foot in the door, whatever living situation, and then discarded immediately after.
And I'm moving back in with my parents. I am so fucking sick of this. Like, I genuinely mean this. I am never.
Okay, before she gets through that sentence, the vibe that I'm getting, and I don't want to be harsh, I don't want to judge people, like that, but this video has gone on for almost 2 minutes and she hasn't exactly said much of anything. I just want to say that because that's what I'm noticing. And now that it leads to this statement, I genuinely mean this, I'm never dating again, which is what she's about to say. I think there's a lot of stuff that probably hindsight is 2020 for her now that she's not saying. And again, we are seeing that pattern, of course, of people saying, oh, I'm never dating again. But when you blame dating, you are failing to take accountability for what you may have done. And don't call this victim blaming. It's not victim blaming. It's allowing yourself to evolve. It's very different. To be able to acknowledge, okay, maybe I moved a little bit quickly in this relationship. Maybe I didn't take the time to get to know this person. If we completely turn a blind eye to those facts, those things that we could have the power to do differently at the beginning of a relationship, we are denying ourselves the ability to evolve and do better in the future. You cannot ignore those things. 2 people went into this relationship. I think one of them could have been a bit more cautious. And I'm going to say it's her. I don't know the entire situation, but at the very least, she could have been a bit more cautious and taken her time with this situation, not completely, depend 50% on a person that she didn't actually know. My battery's dying. So I genuinely mean this. I'm never dating again. We know, if you watch my channel, dating is not the problem in many of these cases.
Dating again. I don't think I can physically do this anymore.
Take a break. Please take a break. Yeah. It seems to me like there was a lot more to this story, and that's okay. You know, she doesn't have to put that on blast on the internet. You know, I don't expect her to. I would just hope that that's something that she's willing to acknowledge as she comes out of the painful part and just can look back and say, okay, how do I not do that again? I want to date, but how do I not end up in that situation again? Which is healthy. A lot of us should have that thought. Hopefully we are having those thoughts. If you're watching my channel, I hope you're having those thoughts. Oh, this is nice and short. Let's see what she has to say.
Dated someone who, instead of breaking up with me, was like, let's not talk for 6 weeks and see if we miss each other. And I was like, okay, sure. And then at the end of 6 weeks, we met up.
Don't never agree to that.
And I was like, I missed you. And they were like, I didn't. Breakup still on. And I wish I could say that I was young and stupid, but I was 31.
Girl. Yeah, I don't think there's many situations where such an arrangement would be a good idea. I actually, if this is a new relationship and this person, actually even an old, hell, any relationship, if a person tells me let's break up for 6 weeks and see if we miss each other, my little spidey sense would tell me that this guy wants to experience something else. This guy wants to try on a different penis cozy. I don't know. I can't think of a situation in which a healthy person would say, okay, let's take a 6-week break and then see how we feel after. I don't see that happening with someone who actually has their puzzle pieces in order. And it's sad because usually people who agree to such a thing are people that are hopeful that they will still have this partner. And to me, that in itself, agreeing to that screams, I am attached to this person in an unhealthy way. And I would wonder about the status of their self-esteem. But first, before we continue, if you are enjoying this so far, go ahead and hit like. And if you want to continue to watch my videos, we explore lots of different things, like I said, Reddit, TikTok, and we're going to do some more stuff coming up soon. Go ahead and subscribe.
Okay, I think enough time has passed that I can tell you guys the crazy story of why and how my ex and I broke up. So my ex moved from interstate to live with me. And so he didn't really know anyone else that wasn't my friend in our town. So we were talking about getting married. We were talking about spending our lives together. I thought we were getting engaged in like the next 6 to 12 months sort of thing. And then this woman named Joanne moves in next door. Now, it took us a while to warm up to Joanne because she was a little bit vague about her past. Like, we would ask her where she was from and she would kind of dance around the question. We would ask her, like, if she's married, she would dance around the question. She just wasn't very forthcoming with information about her past. But we were like, oh, none of our business. Maybe there's some trauma there. Good for her. But she seemed pretty lonely. She didn't really know anyone in town either. So the three of us would hang out. We would do things together. We really started to trust Jo. We'd hang out all the time. Another strange thing about Jo is that she had a chemical burn to her eye, a chronic injury, right? It was a long time ago. It was healed and she should have been wearing an eye patch. But instead, she would just tape cotton, a new piece of cotton to her face every day. Very strange. Anyway, the relationship kind of turned from like the three of us being friends and her and I being closer to her messaging my boyfriend more and stuff like that. But I wasn't super worried about it because he's a friendly guy and whatever. So one day I go on a work trip and my boyfriend's like messaging me a little bit less than usual, but still messaging me. And I come home and he's gone and all of his stuff is gone. And I'm like, what the? So I start calling his family. I start calling my family. I start calling our mutual friends. I start calling anyone I can think of because he's not answering. And I'm like, where has he gone? Does anyone know where he's gone? And some people were like, we can't tell you that. It's not for us to disclose. I'm like, okay, so this is weird. He's plotted something crazy, weird. What have I missed here? Like, I'm like blaming myself, blah, blah, blah. And I had tried to text Joanne next door, Jo, and she didn't reply. And I was like, she always replies to me. This is getting mad sus. So about 2 weeks later, I go over to her house and I knock on the door and a man answers. I've never seen a man over there. And I say, hi, is Jo home? And he says, Joanne? Yeah, she was the previous tenant, right? And I was like, she's moved out? He's like, yeah, she moved away with some blonde guy. I was like, do you have a forwarding address? He says, yes. He gives me the address. It's only an hour away. I drive there. Sure enough, both of their cars are there. They're living together. They're together now. So I don't know where she come from. I don't know where she go. But if it hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe, I'd been married a long time ago.
Wait, was that real? Cotton Eye Joe. Okay, I think we're being scammed here, but yeah. Anyways, anything that we can learn from that? Yeah. I'm not crazy when I say I don't do the female friend thing. You can have female friends, but we're not going to get so close to where you are texting her throughout the day. To the point where you're no longer texting me. Like, that is not okay. There has to be some clear boundaries there. Female friends, fine. But ain't no female friend going to be more comfortable in my house with my husband than I am. No female friend should be more comfortable texting emotional things to my husband than I am. There's a reason for that. And it bothers me that people think that they have to be so open because it's a friend and that your partner should be totally okay with these things happening. There's a reason why you set that boundary, regardless of what your intentions are. If you have a girlfriend you intend to marry, you intend to be with for a while, I strongly don't recommend having that same emotional connection and openness with other women. Just saying. It's not to say something's going to happen, but perhaps it's just not worth it to have that door open to begin with. And I have no issue doing the person that I'm with the justice of setting that kind of boundary with other men. I don't care who you are. You are not going to feel as comfortable with me as my own partner. It is a conscious effort on my part to maintain a boundary with the people I encounter when I am in a relationship. It's called protecting what is important to you.
If it hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe.
Years ago, the girl I loved more than anything on the entire planet broke up with me. I was absolutely shattered, devastated, heartbroken. The world had ended as far as I was concerned. I did nothing for weeks but sit in the fetal position and cry. I couldn't eat, sleep, or drink, and with what little energy I had to muster, I begged and belted, "Why couldn't you tell me? Why didn't we talk about this if these things were bothering you so much?" She did. The breakup did not come out of nowhere. She'd been telling me for a long time.
I love this. Right off the bat, I love this. He is acknowledging something, and that is that there is a reason for the breakup. Another person can go through this situation and easily say, "Oh, I don't know what happened. I was happy. We loved each other. And then suddenly she wanted to break up." But this guy looks like he had a little epiphany, and I'm here for it. Let's hear what else he has to say.
I was just unself-aware enough to let it sink in. Until about 2 months later. I wasn't crying as much, but I definitely was still shattered, and I was going through some photos because that's just what you do. And I found this one that we took 4 days before the breakup because I wanted to see, like, where can I pinpoint where it all went wrong. 4 days before the breakup, we went to this little beach town and went to dinner, and we went to the beach, and I'm smiling, goofing it up. I'm just having a great time. And I took some selfies of us. And I'll never forget this feeling. I looked at it, and I really looked at it, and I was like, she is tired. She's drained. Her glow is gone. Mentally, spiritually, emotionally exhausted.
Yeah. Oh, that hurts.
And in that moment, so many things came rushing back to me that she had been telling me all along, and I just didn't hear it. I robbed her of her peace for way too long. My anxious attachment, my insecurities, my need for control. She wasn't herself. She couldn't be herself around her friends, her family. She wasn't herself. And she was tired. She was unaligned. And it hit me like a ton of bricks in that moment that not only was I the issue, but now I've got some shit to work on. I'll forever be grateful for her for doing what she did, because I know it was tough. And she told me years later how excruciatingly tough it was to break up with me. But she did the right damn thing, and she stood true to her alignment and her spirit. And in my case, I spent the last 6 years on my healing journey, which I am unbelievably proud of. But how does this apply to you? I want you, in good faith, to do an audit of that relationship that broke you. That perfect relationship, and they left me out of nowhere.
I like this. I am really enjoying hearing this perspective, and I am loving the fact that this evolution is taking place and that he's sharing it for others to be aware of. This is really important. I hope to God it's real. I hope this isn't just like a narcissist trying to get their supply back.
Or that relationship where you don't think you were the problem, but they told you you were. If you do an audit in good faith, you're going to find the answers happened long before the actual cataclysmic event. I want you to really, really think about that. In my case, I was the villain, as I said in another one of my videos. I was the issue, and she told me I just didn't let it sink in. This is your slap in the face, your light bulb moment. Really, really let that sink in.
I love that. Oh my gosh. I love that so much. I have nothing to say. Like, he said it all. He's the teacher here. I actually might go back to his TikTok and see what else we can explore, because I want to, this is the type of stuff that I want to share. I want people to see evolution at work. making conscious choices to think differently and move differently, to reflect on ourselves in ways that allow us to evolve, ascend, and transcend the limitations of our own subconscious. We are so capable. I love this so much. As long as you're able to look within, self-awareness will become something that you are less and less able to live without. I love this so much. And we're going to end it there. What did you think about these little breakup stories? They're not juicy, but they are interesting, and they do allow us to learn something, I think. I would like to invite you, viewer, to write me a letter. I now have my OK Dating Advice booth, if you haven't noticed, where we answer actual people's questions. Most of them I find on Reddit, but you are also welcome to contact me. Share your story and have a chance to be featured and have your question answered on my channel in my little advice booth. You're more than welcome. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, here's a link. And it doesn't even have to be dating necessarily. If you just have a general life question that you would like my opinion on, go ahead and comment or DM or email me your story for a chance to have it featured on this channel. Thank you so much.
Yeah.